Good day, my name is Ross Jason Boehm. I lived on social services for about, since 1999 I went in there. I was forced to live on the street. The government of Canada's security force, being the RCMP, wouldn't come and arrest my mom or talk to her about family violence. And after assaulting me, I brought up the word to my mother that she owed my brother and I some money and should start paying it back in her lifetime. Not her children owe her money. According to the law, your children's come first. Okay? If you owe a debt, pay it off. You don't tell an 8-year-old to go get a paper route and start doing it so you can buy your own toys and never take them out to buy toys. Not even when they get a birthday present from their grandpa of 25 bucks and never allowed to even go buy toys with that too. She has to go spend it because she's in a childhood state of mind all the time and it's her life, her life, her life. She assaulted my dad in the same mannerism, making him fat and ugly at the age of 18 right after marrying her and so forth. I have two dads, one's Chinese and one's white. My birth father's white. My adopted dad, who changed my name to Ross Jason Boehm Lai instead of Ross Jason Boehm, which my birth father is, and Lai is my stepdad's, which he hasn't talked to us for 20 years, so he walked us in, or she walked us into another situation, not having a stepdad who said on a piece of paper we'd never be without you as well because you want to be our father so you can get access to Canada and control over our lives. Now back to this question of paperwork of Canada. When you go on social services, all forms are Canadian. There's a Canadian stamp in the top corner that says Canada. Your social insurance number is a federal number for federal taxes. We don't have BC taxes, do we? Yes, we do, for property. But we don't have a BC social insurance number. The top of the pyramid is Ottawa, apexing down for each provinces. Every province has to follow the federal jurisdiction of social services and the structure of society, just like federal law. All laws are federal. Anything that harms you is an assault. If you go to the assault chapter, torture. Mind games from government officials playing mind games over and over again, or even once. In family violence, child abuse, anything more than a word is abuse. Okay? I've been through this so many times with social services, it isn't funny. That's right. They keep wanting information. I'm on Canadian Pension Disability now. Since I've been on that, I haven't had one of these forms. And it's been what? At least 2013, almost 6 years since they did this to me. Yesterday, at 4 o'clock, my mail usually shows up at 9 o'clock, which I checked. I got a letter stating they wanted the following information from, what do they call it? Ministry of Social Development and Poverty Reduction and Understanding Employment and Assistance. Wow. What do they need to know? They need to know the following things they asked me for the month before. They want 90 days of bank account record statements. They already had. Gave it to Salvation Army. They want to know my Renter Agreement Act. They have that in a file. It hasn't changed. On your pay stub, it says, has it changed? It hasn't changed. And they want to know if I have any stocks, assets, or pension funds hidden away. They all have that information already. They have all this information. They keep harassing you month after month after month. Last month, they refused to give me my check. So Sally Ann had to come with my check and this letter saying they want 90 days of bank statements, which they got. They also want to know my GoFundMe. What? And how much funds I got. 2 were inactive, 1 was active. for health reasons and a lawsuit. Till it's max paid out, no money will come out of those. Common sense, not nickel and nickel and nickel. But that's that. And then this month they do this. I call that harassment, a violation of human rights. When forced on social services like I did in 1999, Judy Williams said you had to sign over your property to the BC government. They'll sell it and give you whatever money left over. Nope, don't think so. Send me back. Refuse to. Charter of Human Rights and Freedom says I have the right to move to any province I see fit to find a better livelihood on social services. You cannot, as does human rights. As for Liberal government, they stand up for human rights, do they? That's right, human rights, they say. Human rights. You can go online to humanrights.com. You can get your own. It comes with a fancy disc and whatnot, tells you all the things. They send you a nice little letter, and you can get another version for educational purposes as well. So you can look it up. Violation of human rights as well. Nobody stood up for my rights. I went to work. They can't. The BC government still refuses to get my labor wages. Construction worker, all yours, casual labor. If the BC government can't get my wages for working, they're slave drivers too. Just like the video says in one of the videos, the man walks up and gets his full wage for the kid. Where's my full wage if not slavery, inactive, or inadequate wage? Went on social services. Yeah, I'm very agitated by this crap because there's a scent. I don't know where it is. It agitates me. Just like post-traumatic stress syndrome caused by the BC government and the RCMP and a prejudgment and assault and uttering threats over and over again, misleading us in every way. Where is their degree? Go to the University of Saskatoon, go to the University of UBC and look, or British Columbia, and look under criminology and addictions. It's a 6-year program to become a police officer, not 6-month bullshitology. But you look at it, that's harassment. Well, on social services, as a single man, not a woman with kids or whatnot, that look like they're unfit because they don't have enough money to feed them properly, clothe them properly, and house them properly. Like many women I know. My cousins, associates that I met in the Comox Valley that go through it every day, and single men. There's no retraining. Grade 12 is not enough. It's not adequate enough for a decent wage. You work for 10 years of your life like I did, after leaving your mom and dad's house, not your house, never obtaining anything higher than a first year in trade work pay, which is about $11, which I never made $11 other than for a few months. At the minimumest wage possible, $9, $10 an hour. Never to obtain what you were told as a student in school. To own a house, to have a holiday every year, 3 meals a day, leisure time, and enjoy life. You can't do it on minimum wage. No woman wants you. You can't raise a family on it. They see you unfit. You only have 1 meal a day. You can't go work a slave-driven job all day, moving lumber, packing things here, up and down ladders, banging nails, lifting walls, putting insulation in walls, framing or whatnot. You don't understand. A hard physical labor job is no different than being an athlete. You're standing up on your feet, moving and doing things all single day. You have to breathe properly. Your muscles and body have to recuperate properly. You have to have the right hormones. You can't go and chemical lobotomize somebody, give AIDS to them, shutting down their brains that look after things in your brains called your endorphins, your endocrine system, which looks after your blood production, your health and welfare of your pituitary gland that looks after hormones in your human body. These are all legal terms. Whoop, kicked the wire by accident. These are all legal terms. Okay? Understanding the human body, a basic nursing book. All right? You go to the endocrine system, even on Wicca, and it says the same thing. What it looks after. The ovaries, the testicles, the pancreas, the thyroid gland, the pituitary gland, which is in your brain. Here's your brain in your head. This is your stem of your back. It comes up, it's right under there. It dies, you die. Any psychiatric drug does that. Talk to the CCHR.org. It's a human right violation to lobotomize somebody. It's a human right violation to castrate somebody. It's a family violence to sexually assault somebody and molest their hormones of adequate lifestyle too, of human rights. Under family violence, a doctor falls under that. Can't mislead a human being. You can't lobotomize somebody, sterilize somebody, and manipulate with their genitals, their hormones in their body. Women become transgenders into men because you added testosterone and testosterone only, so they get more manly looking. You take it away, they turn back feminine looking. Do they or do they not? You put testosterone on a man, they get bigger sometimes if they eat lots, just like an obese person, but you have to work out like a hot damn to get those muscles, or else you turn chubby and that's all you do. So, is that a Frankenstein doll? We don't know. Okay, let's get back to transgenders. To become a man to a woman, you have to take away their natural testosterone and add estrogen, which every psychiatric drug like Risperdal makes obesity on a man. They grow man boobs or gynomasculus and fat on the hips, meaning you're putting sex change drugs into a man. That's a human right violation. You're assaulting a man of his adequate lifestyle, his manhood. You're shrinking his penis by taking his blood out of his system as well, just like a pump in the arm. You don't have a bicep or firmness, means you don't have blood in there and you never worked it out. You don't have veins, you don't have blood in your body sticking out. Like I said, psychiatric drugs like Invega, which social services wanted to chemical lobotomize me because they say I'm angry, which I'm not. I gave them a statement, tired of psychological BS of paperwork over and over and over again. It shouldn't be there. Why can't you retrain somebody so they don't have to be on it and socially assault them? They can't have a family. They can't enjoy life. There's no money, inadequate, unclean environment. They don't like the acting guilds you have around them. Old people making fun of you like Bill next door, saying, oh, I used to work and blow up dams and concrete and rock, and I gave my family $500 a month on the farm. Then you got a woman upstairs named Nancy who says, oh yeah, I'm being abused by my fucking wife or husband, and he refused to give me alimony. Lady, go get a job. It's called equal rights. Nobody owes you a job. Being a wife is not a job. The definition of common law says this. To be common law, you have to pay both equal bills, sleep and live in a bed, and have children. For over 1 year. It should be 5 years so we don't have acting and gold digging laws. Just like you don't get the pension when your husband dies because they call that gold digging because you're going after their pensions. Okay? Then we got Glenn next door, this old guy who just got out of some institution, who looks like he never washes his clothes, never does anything, and smells weird. Then we got another guy named Glenn who doesn't bathe properly. Then we got 6 Bryans in the building, all different types too, that don't bathe properly, don't clean proper, have hep C, have this, have that, all impoverished too. Some lost their properties because they got addicted to drugs. Yeah, I'll admit, I smoked weed at one time. I drank a few beer in my lifetime. When I say a few beer, maybe 1 case of beer in my entire life. Maybe 3 bottles of 26ers, which cost $26 back then, in my entire life. I don't know what my mom and dad talk about. They call me a sponge on the system. They say I'm a freeloader. I haven't tried hard enough. Oh, I tried hard enough. Like I said, in 10 years, not obtain enough money to buy a house, to have a family, not to have a girlfriend be an adulteress, cheat on you, steal your heart, a thief. Yeah, I love women. and women only. I want a family. I want somebody to love me more than my mom and dad did, force me to go get a job at 8 years old, lie to me, mislead me, treat me like shit, use psychological threats and threaten me every day at the dinner table when there's meat on the table by my stepdad. Be told I'm a dummy, retard, loser because I don't have a perfect grade. A tiger daddy, they call it in the States, or tiger parent, because the Asians want you to have straight A's. Huh. Like how you were going to send me to university either. Man. And Cedar Hill in Victoria said, hey, here's a cooperative program in rec management in Victoria. And they had to move me to the Comox Valley and told me it was up here, and they never had it. Household necessities. They expected me to live on the street. They expected me to sleep on a floor. My whole life. Yeah, this is a concrete floor down here. Oh, it's going fuzzy. Hopefully it breathes. They expect me to sleep on this mattress, a thermarest, or less, my entire life. That's right. A thermarest. I had to dig in a dumpster after uttering threats happens. They expect me to live in my backpack my whole life. You want me to get that too? I'll get that after. So I could have more money to get a better lawyer if I had to. I had to dig in a dumpster, go bottle picking, and see if I could find bottles next to dumpsters. From Ryan Road, TD Bank, Royal Bank, all the way to Walmart in the Comox Valley. Every day. For $2, $3, $4, $50, whatever I could find in bottles that people left beside the dumpsters. In the parks. There was a lady named Ruby. She was supposedly doing the same thing too. And Benoit and Bob. They say I stole her bottle rope, which I didn't. They said she was a hooker. She was making too much money on social services and kicked her off social services. She didn't pay her rent in the building I live in, Washington Studio, and they had to tell her to leave in 2005. She left this building and moved into somebody's basement suite. 3 years later, she died on the street because I kicked her off again. A little old lady who threatened me with a pocket knife one day because she said I was stealing her bottles. But the Westerly Hotel said, nope, she's not supposed to be in there either. You can take your acting guilds and shove them up your yin-yang, your anal, your asshole, or whatever you want to call it. But paperwork after 6 years asking for information you already have, BC government is a little out of hand. You have where I rent, you have my Renters Agreement Act, you have my bank statement the month before. I'm not out of hand. You are. Kathy Hubbard, nobody threatened you. They gave you a scenario that was on the TV 2 weeks before. Somebody got shot in Victoria. People going postal. What's the definition of postal? Somebody getting upset because you're playing mind games with them is the minimum. The extreme is they're taking violence out on somebody else or themselves. Why people go postal by Billy the Kid or Kib or whatnot. A psychiatrist who's retired. Just like I said, you give somebody a job for a while, they're doing okay, and you gradually give them less and less time and work. Taking their job away, they can never find a job and be forced to live to the street. Then they're stealing something, and now you have them in an institution. You cause somebody's problem in a premeditated act, instead of making their life easier and easier, government of BC and the government of Canada. We live in Canada. It's our workplace. The Charter of Human Rights and Freedom says we can move from province to province or place to place to find a better livelihood. You can't do it unless you have money. The right of movement and human rights is not just your 2 feet. You have to be able to afford a vehicle, which is a tool, to move your gear, your tools, if you're a construction worker in casual labor from place to place, even to pick up your groceries. When you have heroin needles in the Comox Valley on the buses and actors on the buses, and you can't handle people because their stupidness and ignorance, asking for money, or their stupid little games every time you get on the bus too. Or the people in your environment that your room is too small, you can't have a family, you don't have enough money either in a 15 by 26-foot jail cell. Just like jail cells used to have rooms and bedrooms and whatnot in it, like a one-bedroom apartment, and still do to today. Like I said, all laws, torture, any government official that wants to assault you, even a police officer. And if a police officer doesn't have a 6-year degree, then it's fraud of a uniform and a certificate, isn't it? And a breach of contract because they're threatening you by the contract of Canada. Our workplace is Canada, they said. And here, I'll find it. It's a 419. 419, and I'll read it to you. 418 is a hate propaganda, definition of genocide. Meaning of any following acts committed in intent to destroy or whole part of it, identity of a group, or killing of a member. It's also a human right violation in this. Physically or psychologically harm a human being or a group of human beings to destroy their lives. Hate propaganda, meaning gun control or anything like that. When a doctor puts down hunters who get food, and that's what a hunter is. A hunter is a hunter, not just like a farmer as well. Oh, 419, where is it? Oh, skip by that one. I went too far. Yeah, I live beside a walkway. It's too close to my house, and I need to find a better location. Okay, where is it? 419. Oh yeah, 419. Unlawful use of a military uniform or a certificate. Wearing a uniform of a Canadian Forces or police officer or naval officer and not being one at all. Mistaken for one. As well as any courier or worker of a business in any way. To have a certificate of a degree and not be truthful with it or really obtain one as well. You have to have a certificate of attestation that you have a degree or that knowledge that is true to Her Majesty and the Canadian government that you are legally bound to have a business license or hold that certificate of life. Fraud of a certificate. Intent to harm the body. The mind is part of the body. That's why it's an assault, psychologically harming somebody, and so forth. That's right. And so forth. Accessories before or after the fact. After the fact, you knew of the crime, you didn't want to help out in stopping a human right violation, now you are a criminal as well. How does that sound for you? Hey, Gordon Johns. I'm not in his district, but I live in the Comox Valley in Courtenay. Not in Comox, Gordon Johns. And you sent me a letter saying that I'm not in your district. Bullshit. I walked right into Rona's thing. My address is in Courtenay. Ryan Road, 1027 Ryan Road. Oh, you guys can come by my window. Here's my little apartment studio. And there's the sidewalk. You see that? You can see the angled wall here. That's the sidewalk. 10 feet. Anybody can walk by with their dog mace and their bear mace, which I stated in my earlier videos to burn your eyes and cause migraines as well. Come on, video. Snap up. Let's see this recovery of the picture. Here, let's see. Move it and it goes like that. Let's go like this. Oh, it's straightened up. Awesome. Well, we're going to do this too while we're sitting here. And you can see this maybe. Studio mode, eh? I got split screen right now. I have to save up for a new monitor. It's not good enough to play a video game. It's not 1 millisecond response time, and it's not a 1440 or a 1080 IP. My monitor over there, behind the Rubbermaid container, which I got instead of a laptop when I was going to jail because I didn't have a good enough TV, died a couple weeks ago. If you'd like to help me out, go to GoFundMe and new stuff. Same with the video camera. That one cost me $1,100 back then. 32-inch, first widescreen ultra there was for TV monitor. ViewSonic. What was it called? ViewSonic. I got it from Staples. N3251W LCD TV. I use Shaw cable internet. It's $150 a month. That's basic TV. I don't have that anymore, but they guarantee no lag either. They turn on and off servers, and I get lag on some stuff as well. My computer's old, so I can't play updated games like Scums and what's that pirate one? And Atlantis and World War II, Call of Duty. So I play all the old ones and ones I can as well. Like I said, I'm tired of human rights violations, living on social services, being discriminated against, Andrew S. versus the BC Law Society. You have to realize that Andrew S. went to the courts and won. And a wage is discrimination, as is a dollar bill, money, as well as sex, religion, and all that. To treat somebody with equal rights before and after the law, you have to have a non-biased opinion. You have to look at somebody and not judge them as anything. Leave that for the court system. That's right, the court system. The court system displays everything you need. Don't they, or do they not? You have to talk a certain manners, and if you can't talk that way in the court of law, then you shouldn't do it. Something's not working right here. But I'm looking. That's right. You're not allowed to talk this way. You're not allowed to talk that way. And that's all I can tell you. I don't do this for publicity or do this for attention in any way. I get tired of it all. Just like you two. It's not fun being poverty. I didn't choose to be impoverished. I didn't choose to be on psychiatric drugs. I didn't choose it at all. I chose a good life. I wanted to go to work. I wanted a family. I wanted to own a house. I wanted a car. I wanted the vacation. For 10 years, like I said, all I had was workplace harassment. Always drunks, alcoholics on the construction sites. Hey, is that guy drinking on the job? Is this guy doing this? People sleeping in crawl spaces on insulation. People not wanting to show up for work because they're hungover. Working with people with kids and they had to leave work always. You can't work like that. Brother borrowing money and dad borrowing money so they could obtain something and not paying you back, and you have that money just put away so you can get a new car. A little brother who's so jealous he thinks you get free money from your stepdad and your mom, which you never did. You earned that money. You paid off a car $179 a month for 3 years. And you never even had enough money to get a bank loan. So you were starving to death just to have that car so you could get to and from work. You moved to a place because your birth father says, oh, let's come out to Saskatchewan. There's better opportunities for jobs, which there was. You work for full time for 2 years, but when you get there, you need a vehicle. So he sets you up on a loan. You go to the loans officer. Your dad says, here, I'm co-signing this, and goes, okay, you qualify for this. You're living there. If you live somewhere else, you wouldn't be able to. You only pay $250 a month, and you're making $9 an hour, and you have this much left over, 14%. Well, that's enough. Okay, you qualify. If you had to pay $450 a month for rent, you wouldn't qualify. A year later, your dad's kicking you out. Now you don't qualify for that loan. Now you're starving to death. You get the point, Mr. Bame? You misled your kid, you assaulted them, you baited and trapped them to move there, and did a sequence of events and child abused them and used mind games. Hey, big guy, how you doing? You'd say. Oh yeah, the Mr. Big problem. Hey, you have kids borrow a bike or tools and they lose it or whatnot, and now you're financially assaulting somebody in family violence. You're emotionally destroying somebody because you're not replacing what this and that. I don't know what to say. Laws and regulations that the government is not protected by equal rights. Vancouver airport shooting, Victoria bombing incident. Don't provoke anybody, RCMP, or any police officer. Don't send undercover cops in there to provoke people into an incident that wouldn't happen unless you leaded them down the road to make them there. Yeah, let's make a pressure cooker bomber. Let's get them to join this activism group. Let's lead them down the road and hey, let's go into this warehouse and steal stuff, and then get busted, and they get the undercover cop walks away and they get institutionalized. That's baiting and trapping a human being, leading them down a road or giving them thoughts that wouldn't happen unless you took them there, or forcing them, just like family violence says, to sign paperwork, to control their lives, traffic them, and make their lives even more worse than what it was. That's right. Baiting and trapping them, putting them on a device, like a communication device. You have to have a wiretap. It's in the forums as well as the surveillance and do investigations and blood tests and stuff like that. Yeah, mental health, hey? Nope, mental health is scrapped. A doctor is a witch in ancient times 100 years ago. And if we had the maximum payout for anybody who had post-traumatic stress syndrome or put on CPPD or disability and social services being $5,000 a month, $100,000 a year, we wouldn't have these programs because the government wouldn't do it. They only do it to the people who are in the lowest rung usually, just like a private in the military. Yeah, a good career to join the military. You'll travel the world and do all kinds of stuff, but you can't get into there either. We can arrest without a warrant too. I'd like to arrest every government official and police officer for violating a breach of contract, for not protecting us equal before and after the law, and looking at the host story and not picking a biased opinion with mommy and daddy and the government of Canada assaulting human beings and torturing them in Guomo Bay like things. Like I said, live on the street for 2.5 years. Try to live on $179 for food a month. Live in a shithole like this that you have ignorance around you. Yeah, lend people money that never pay you back. Don't lend people money if you don't have money and you need that too. That's common sense too. But you had to do it for a neighbor, hoping they'd pay you back. Once. $179, scrape by on it. And have to go to a soup kitchen every day and have uttering threats of people unhappy and people happy and whatnot. And only hear, hey, you want to buy some drugs, which is my extra medication and whatnot? I got some clinical heroin here. I got some this and this, and oh yeah, marijuana. Who can afford $40 on a bag of weed on $179 that tastes like shit, looks like shit, and so forth? Oh yeah, I got a bag of weed for $150. It's 1 ounce, and it hurts your throat. It makes you have a migraine, and you don't even get stoned. It doesn't even have crystals on it. It's not even purple indica. Yeah, right. Seems like a little bit of an act. Like I said, accessory before and after the fact. People are being psychological harm. It's inadequate. It's worse than a jail cell to be on social services or CPP disability if you haven't made a journeyman rate. Facts are the facts. They're right in front of you. You get assaulted by government people in rec centers from foreign countries who are getting paid by the Canadian government, and you refuse to arrest them and bring them to a court system. Caught on a video surveillance in the corner at the CRA by a Mexican guy who's becoming a Canadian citizen, and his kid happened to be born in Canada too. Well, to me, that doesn't make you a Canadian yet because your parents aren't Canadian, because they still think about their old country too much. It's all about their country. Sorry, it's not discrimination, it just is a fact. They always want to go home and see their old home because they miss it. Yeah, I guess that's like a relationship in some ways. Sometimes you miss your ex-girlfriend, your ex-wife, and you think about them because you cared about them. Yep, human rights. They don't want to live there because there's no jobs at all. You never know what to say sometimes. We live a life and it's inadequate. We try our damn best in life to succeed, and that's all we can do. Every day is a new day, and that's all I can say. I try my hardest, and that's all I can do. Try my hardest to do what I gotta do. 20 years living on the street, social services, not having enough money, working in the construction agencies, and not reaching the top ladder in 10 years when I know 22-year-old journeymen like, what's Mr. Baker's name out in the prairies from Foam Lake? At 24 years old, he was a journeyman. He started his journeymanship at this. I took construction class for grade 8 to 12, and none of it counted for first or second year in apprenticeship program. Tool safety, shop safety, over and over again, how to use tools. Should count for at least the first year, just like taking a cafeteria course or any type of other course. It doesn't make sense how we get assaulted, okay? I'll be back in a second. Well, scared the shit out of me. I had to go to the bathroom. Sorry about that. Well, like I said, here's my backpack. The one I lived on the street was purple, and it got stolen. This is a replacement. It's all ripped up. It's supposed to be replaceable, but outbound wouldn't do it. Here you go. It's too heavy to carry. Once your hormones are taken away, you can't run anymore 10 kilometers, 100 miles, or walk properly because you're always out of breath because you're too fat. You got obesity and whatnot, just like my Vegas says. But 90-liter outbound bag. What was it? How much did it cost? Oh, here's the receipt for it. $219 for Mountain Meadows, which closed down in the Comox Valley. Apex 90, it's called. Just like the game Daisies that I play once in a while. They don't wear out in 2 days or 3 days. It takes years. And yeah, I could fit about 10 cans of food in here, plus a tent for a 4-person, plus 4 hacksaws tied together, 4 hatchets as well, 6 big axes, and nope, couldn't fit a tire in here, and nope, no jerry can, maybe a couple 4 liters of oil, and maybe some clothes. Yep, I could strap 4 or 5 rifles on here and that, but could I carry it? I usually carried about 75 pounds in it when living on the street. Hey, we'll put that back to where it was. But needs to be replaced too. You can't own a vehicle if you're being harassed by the RCMP. They'll pull you over for violations. Oh yeah, there's too much rust on it. There's blowing smoke out the end of it, and so forth. Oh, is that radiator fluid? Oh, you look like you're driving with undue care and attention. You didn't do a shoulder check properly. Oh, you got boxed in, and now they did a fender bender. Huh. Yeah, little things that they can do. Criminal negligence and common nuisance is always thinking of harmful things. And guess what? Like I said, before and after the fact, my hormones are gone. I have AIDS-like things. Death that might be prevented. A death that may be prevented by, or death which might have been prevented. A 224. Yeah. Where a person by an act or admission does anything that results in the death of a human being. He causes the death of that human being, not with understanding the death from the cause that might have been prevented by resorting to proper means. 225. Death from treatment of injury. Oh, yeah, you're mentally ill. It's an injury of your brain. You're mentally ill. Where a person causes to a human being a bodily injury that is of itself and dangerous nature, from which death results. He causes the death of a human being, not willfully understanding that the immediate cause of death is proper or in improved treatment. Meaning, you chemical lobotomize somebody, you turned off their hormones, you caused somebody's death of AIDS. You intended to harm somebody, you knew what your actions were. Accessory before and after. The police knew the treatment of mental health, taking them to the hospital, what they can do. They know the treatments of it as well, like tasering somebody or shooting them with a gun. Criminal minds of common nuisances, and they don't have the right education, it seems, to do so. You want to go to court and talk about it? Let's go. I had enough of this treatment. Like I said, they have all this information. Sorry for babbling on. I wish you all the best of day. This is my report on social services. Justin Trudeau, you want to help out with human rights? And John Horgan, Gordon Johns, Rona Leonard, and so forth. My name is Ross Jason Bohmlai. Roscoe, if I'm as a nickname, or gaming, just for something to do, I call it that. As a nickname my birth father called me, well, as Big Guy as well. I'm not in a Mr. Big program. I don't think I'm anybody but myself. I'm a human being trying to live a life, not to be assaulted over and over again in a Somalia affair. Social services is an inadequate system. It's supposed to be a safety net. And yeah, it shouldn't be used as you have to live on it. They should be giving us retraining so we don't have to live on it. And it shouldn't be treated like a jail. I don't want to be on it, but there's 20 years, like I said, there was no help in any way at any job shop in the Comox Valley or anything like that. When living on the street, there was no help. There was no dawn to dusk coming up and saying, hey, we got a trailer to live in. We didn't have Salvation Army coming up and saying, hey, we can help you out, which they do now because of that. Didn't want to stay in shelter for 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days and go through their treatments either. Deal with women's groups that are ignorant, like Rona's office, Leonard's office. You talk to the lady at the desk who's her receptionist, who deals with her intakes, and she turns aggressive in 3 seconds by her mannerism, like she's on steroids or something like that. Have RCMP officers utter threats over and over again when I'm just trying to do better than have nothing in life. Like, I would like to eat today, wouldn't you? Without having a problem. I'd like to eat, wouldn't you? I don't want to eat air. You can't eat air. Water has no nutrition, nor does a coffee have any real nutrition. Like I said, my morals of life. I thought I once had a beautiful family, other than they did stupid things like borrow money, that I could live with, and hoping one day they would pay me back. Till one day I was forced on the street and realized that they just assaulted me my whole life, and that every girlfriend was an act possibly too. That my little brother didn't care about me. Brothers, I should say, or my sister. They were just actors trying to pretend with me. If you love somebody, you're not going to borrow something and not give it back. You're not going to play a mind game with them and mislead them down a road that shouldn't be there, like joining a trade work or borrow money or borrow a device like a bicycle, a hammer, a chisel, a pipe cutter, or their car, and deliberately harm that device so they have to be financially strapped down to buy it again because they're not made of money. Money doesn't come easy for anyone. Everybody has to live paycheck to paycheck. Even if they own their house, they still have to pay taxes if it's all paid out. When you've never had a holiday in your life, you never had leisure time, and you never really even had a good love of your life, because 7 months doesn't count for nothing if it's always 7 months, 7 months, 7 months, and every time you find out they're cheating on you. Nobody needs the harassment of social services over and over again. Like I said, after 6 years, they want all this information they already have. And CPPD not being enough to live on because you never made enough money, like I said, to get the top rate. So you're only entitled to $600 rather than this, $2,000, which still isn't that much, and you can't raise a family on it. It just proves it's a cult and an organization that Canadian citizens in their home and native land can't find a job because people are taking up their jobs. And in family violence, you have to feed your kids before you feed the neighbor, or else you're neglecting them. So Justin Trudeau, John Hagan, and the rest of the premiers of Canada, feed the people of the country first. A job is food. A job is well-being. A job is their human right in their country, as well as the Charter of Human Rights and Freedom. Make sure there's good, viable jobs, not construction jobs that are casual labor and only temporary jobs while the buildings are being produced. Not moving from city to city, province to province, to keep moving around because it's ridiculous. You can't own a house. If you don't own a house, it's slavery. You're always paying off somebody else's debt to their houses, which always go up, and it isn't fun. A bank should look at it this way. Here, you own a house here. You have to move to this city. We transfer you into another house that's the same amount or better, and you start paying it off there. Now the bank sells this house. We shouldn't live in a state of communism that the cult of government workers only have full-time jobs and everybody else is called privatization. Maybe the government should go back and own BC Ferries, BC Hydro, BC Mining, so all that money goes back in the system and pays off the system rather than the taxes be so high too. Public rec centers where we can go use our rec money which are in our infrastructure tax and our house taxes, just like schooling, policing, and all that. It's our right to use these facilities, rich or poor, equal rights before and after the law, without discrimination. We all have the right to use these systems. Quit provoking people and assaulting situations so we can live in freedom and enjoy a life. If we all made $10 an hour, even a politician, then we're all equal. We all know how everybody is living. When you have somebody making $10 an hour and somebody making $2 an hour, it's a total different situation. This guy's eating, this guy's not. Just like 100 years ago. We didn't have social services. We didn't have the doctors telling everybody this, and that, and being part of the government system. Right? So there's the problem. A government has the doctors dictating on life and have a definition for everything in life. Look at the CCHR, they'll tell you. An athlete is looked at somebody that has ADHD because they're physically active. You want to kill them? Yeah, go give some more GMOs to an animal, vaccinate them so they're dead. So we eat that, it comes into our system and kills us as well. Chemical warfare. You think that's funny? Just like the Black Plague, supposedly it says the Jewish people dumped stuff in the water and killed the people. Chemical warfare. And in ancient history of warfare, we went from having bows and swords and spears to cannons. Everything was designed to make it quicker and more efficient and less noise with chemical warfare, so they didn't hear a boom, a bang, and yelling and screaming. That they could take out a section quicker. And all warfare was to get more land, which doesn't seem like that because it all goes back to the countries after it. So is it a population control? Just like I said, mental health, killing people with doctors today, malpractice you call it, higher than any other related murder or death. Malpractice. Oh, slipped with this. Oh, we gave the guy the wrong medication. Oh, we lobotomized him. He committed suicide. No, he didn't. You gave him a drug, caused depression, made him unfit, made him obese. He can't handle life and he jumped off the end. Just like Kate Davison, the young lady at age 12 or whatnot. You killed her. You refused to help her equal before and after the law and put her in a safer place. The facts are the facts. It's all caught on video. That's what they did. Isn't that sad? That a little girl went through that? Should I play that for you? Nah, I'm not going to play that for you. But I have it on video. I downloaded it 10 minutes after they took it off the thing. I can send it to anybody I want. She's crying in the end, saying, oh, what did I do wrong? I'm sorry. I don't understand why you are so cruel to us. And she takes a little rope, a bungee cord, puts it up on the thing, stands on a bucket and hangs. You can barely see it, but then her family is out there looking for her. It's a sad, sad thing. No one cared enough to save somebody who's being psychologically and physically harmed in life by the government or the people or the doctors. It's a crime to be a common nuisance. It's a crime not to listen and be equal. I don't know what this world's coming to when my 46 years on this is being absolute cruelty after diagnosing it in my judgment. Because you refuse to be fair and equal to all your kids or the people who you're defending as a police officer or a doctor or whatnot. Read Family Violence in the Department of Justice Canada. Read it. Have acting guilds come up to you and pretend every day with some stupid speech or mannerism over and over again. Yeah, I'm poverty. Big deal. But you don't need people assaulting you with other stupidness over and over again. And one of their family members benefiting from their acts. I want to live a free life. Freedom. Freedom. I want the dream. If I can't live what you told me in school, the sky's the limit. It's residential school treatment. No difference than the residential school treatment of Canada. Yeah, we have lots of problems on reserves of water and all that kind of stuff, just like living on a farm. Unless the money is there in the population, you can't put a school, you can't put a water well in there either. And if you pee in the water system, you're going to kill the water system. That's just common sense. Something's got to change. It's too frustrating dealing with the government of Canada and stupid paperwork over and over again after 6 years or whatnot, and you're told, oh, you won't have to fill that stupid crap out anymore. And having treatments that you have to go fight in the court system for your health back. This is bullshit. Yeah, World War III. World War II hasn't ended because Nazism is still there. Because you refuse to live by human rights, equal protection before and after the law with your racial discrimination. And like a Nazi video says, oh, that hospital says it'll help you, then turns around and assaults you. Anything that harms you. Mulligan Law Firm. Just look at their YouTube video. An assault is anything that harms you in life. And a bruise doesn't hurt. Psychological harm, post-traumatic stress syndrome is worse than a bruise. A bruise goes away. But that thought, reoccurring all the time, happens. We tried our hardest. We want a life like we were taught life was supposed to be about, not less. I grew up in a, 3 bedrooms upstairs, living room upstairs, kitchen, dining room, and the same thing in the basement. Yeah, we lived in a townhouse a few times, but still had 3 bedrooms, a garage, and a living room, and a table, and a mom and dad and a brother. And a brother who's so stupid it's not even fucking funny. And then I had another brother by my stepmom and my birth father, who I only saw every 3 to 4 years. They had a swimming pool in the backyard and 5,000 square foot house. They upgraded and downgraded. They started with nothing and ended up that way and now live in New Zealand. My stepdad, he lives in China or somewhere in Calgary right now. As the rest of my family, they're Polish descent, German descent, Irish descent, and Scottish. No Asian in us. They've lived here from 100 years ago, from Martin Bush to supposedly the Mayflower on the Lennox and McPherson side, which my grandma said. They came up from the United States, and the Bames as well, which my birth father was supposedly adopted somewhere in the Toronto area, which we don't know anything about. He could never find any records about it. But like I said, I'm sick and tired of social service in the government of Canada and their bullshitology of paperwork. When in poverty, leave us alone. If there's no job, there's no job. We can't fabricate a job in a second. We can hand out 1 million resumes if you're not going to have a job there that's adequate, pays enough, doesn't have workplace harassment, and we can't enjoy it, and it doesn't make enough, and I'm not eating 3 meals a day and having leisure time and having a holiday in my life, and it only being a temporary, another psychological mind game to put me right back to where I was, just like in a boxing ring. You have 10 seconds to get off the ground. If you don't, the match is over. Or a rugby game. These are the lines. Ball travels up the field, not behind the field, and so forth. Hey, track and field. 100 meters starts here. Finish line's here. You have 11 seconds, Ross, to make it to the thing. Oh, that guy made it in 10:9. He beat you by 2 strides. I'm 11 second, 100 meter. I run 3,000 meter, 1,500 meter, 800, 400, and 10 kilometers and half marathons all throughout my life until assaulted by the Canadian government and sustained in Vaga by psychiatric treatment. I can't breathe, swim, or do any activity. I can lift my weights, but I can't do it properly anymore without huffing and puffing and feel like I'm ready to die. My blood's not in my body like I stated, and I'm dying from their malpractice. An assault by the Canadian government and a human right violation, a biased discrimination of the RCMP of Canada, and I've looked for help over and over again and contacted every government official, just like Ryan G does in Vancouver, and nobody wants to help. So accessory before and after the fact, You are now guilty because you refused, as a law firm or a government, to help the people in human rights violations and the laws of Canada. There is no loophole in it. When assault's an assault, nobody's psychologically deranged if you're provoking and assaulting a human being in aggravated assault over and over again. Just like a word to a child in child abuse. Hey, I'm only speaking words. I haven't punched you out, hit you, shot you, stabbed you, or spit in your face. I just stated the facts. The facts, the facts, the facts. I didn't even take an air pistol out and use reckless and cause bodily harm. Manslaughter. Malpractice. Manslaughter is the word used before murder. And a breach of contract. They refuse to treat all human beings in their trade agreement to be law enforcement or government officials, the assets of the country, the people who live and love their country and who are being ran out and now feel like terrorist organizations are taking over their country. I'm a Canadian citizen and being ran from my home, and I'm an Aboriginal of the world. Because what planet did I come from? You can send me to whatever planet you'd like. Like that'll happen too. Look at my GoFundMe. Help me out if you can, because I'm not crazy. I'm not a lunatic. And hey, what goes around comes around. And a friendship works two ways. I shake your hand in kindness. You shake my hand in kindness. You be polite to me, I'm polite back. Do unto others as they do unto you. And a firstborn law is they're the only ones allowed to become a priest, a law enforcement, a lawyer, educated person first. You can't outrank them in any way. Those are the firstborn laws. Secondborns have no say at all. Have a great day. Challenge the Queen of England on that one. This is Ross Jason Boehmlei of the Comox Valley.